This is the Applied Skills video for Module 13, focusing on professional service pricing and advocating for it. In the topical knowledge video, we touched on some of the details of what goes into establishing each firm's pricing for their professional services. Assignment 3, as you'll find, takes you through a very detailed exercise of discovering some of those factors for yourself. Essentially, the professional service pricing for the firm, when applied to its projects, is traditionally about the only way that a firm is generating income. Therefore, a profitable architecture firm's professional service pricing must be substantial enough in order to cover direct project expenses, as well as any overhead expenses, and allow them to generate a profit. With that being established, that means that firms either need to stay lean as far as their expenses, or be able to justify each of their expenses in terms of the impact it has to their overhead. Ultimately, the value added of the expense has to make it worthwhile, either directly or indirectly. If an expense is able to contribute significantly to increased revenue directly, like investing in new equipment, tools, or technology, it's usually pretty justifiable. If an expense is able to save on other expenses, it can likewise be justified, such as office resources meant for increasing efficiency and how they might save on staffing time in return. Furthermore, there are often other overhead expenses that are not as direct in the return on their value, but are nonetheless important investments for the firm. Overhead expenses that contribute to positive office culture or a positive work environment and therefore retain employees are the greatest example of this. I'm going to share with you a diagram real quick that helps to convey this next point. Regardless of how all of these firm factors are established, they are then combined with project-specific factors to develop your professional service firm's pricing on a project in the form of a fee proposal. As a representative of your firm, you will likely at some point have to play a role in advocating on behalf of the fee that your firm is asking for in return for its service. In doing so, you must defend the relationship between cost and quality that you and your firm have chosen to provide. When this situation occurs, your firm likely does not have the lowest fee of all other firms competing for the work. And that's okay, because while you may be offering similar services, your proposals are inherently not going to be the same as your competitors. What do I mean by that? Even if your scope of services for the project are exactly the same, you have different team members, different experience, different expertise, different project management, different resources, and potentially different deliverables that all contribute to the discrepancies in the value being offered between you and your competitor. The issue comes in is that this difference in value does not always become immediately obvious to the client, who may or not be expecting to have to compare two different types of apples or apples to oranges. It's then your job to create a compelling defense to the owner of your firm's professional service pricing, while the value added is worth the additional cost. This diagram here helps to depict that. It demonstrates the idea of value versus pricing for architects. So your firm's fee might be slightly higher, slightly more than the other fees of your competitors. However, if you look at step 2 here, we start to take into account the value that you're offering. So your value might be this much, while your competitor's value is less. So you might save a little bit of money going with that competitor, but you might miss out on a significant amount of value in doing so. So the step 3 is to justify that value and the amount of money that it costs to get that additional value between you and your competitor. So to demonstrate that for a small amount of extra fee, you can receive a large amount of extra value is really what it comes down to when you're selling this to your clients. You may have the opportunity to discuss this directly with the owner, or you may have to begin the discussion with the owner's project manager or program manager, a lawyer, financial counselor, or a different representative for your client. These different parties on the project may come from different backgrounds or have different priorities that impact how to best advocate for service pricing. They may have come to that gatekeeper role from a very different background, unaware of and generally unconcerned with the architecture and construction. They may not be a direct user and would not derive benefit at all from the quality of your services. They may ultimately require a different kind of justification than the owner regarding the value and pricings of your services. So in your discussion post requirements for this module, you'll be demonstrating your ability to do so and focus on the best preparation of demonstrating this value by anticipating potential comments or criticisms you may receive from this very non-architectural viewpoint and working on your own arguments to justify the value of your services and the reasonableness of your fees. So essentially, assuming that this person in this gatekeeper role doesn't really care about your design expertise and the quality of your architectural skills, you have to convince them or defend to them your fee and the value that you're bringing to the project in a way that resonates with them. Because only convincing them to hire you or that your fee is justified is your way into winning this project work.